Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We have done it before on the channel, but we're actually going to do several quick 1v1s, and this is to give you a bit of an idea that this is more likely what your 1v1 experience is going to be. Even though these are some of the top players in the game, with Bison, otherwise known as Barcast, and Yanami being literally at the top of the leaderboard, even they have games that are very short. And these are pretty much the normal games that you run across. Although you see on the channel all these great games that go to Tech 3 or Tech 2 that are amazing and really fun to watch, that is not what a 1v1 normally is. So, as we see here, Barcast playing Cortex, and in blue going bots, and his opponent Yanami here playing Armada, actually choosing a completely different start here. Yanami clearly has a plan of what he's intending to do, and that is start with a single metal extractor, not even getting the other two ones here, and then just going straight ahead and walking towards the center here. Going to build a radar there. He is basically attempting to contain Sun here. And if he's managed to do this, he blocks Sun from getting any of the expansion opportunities available. Now, whether he'll be able to succeed with that is a completely different question. And we see a tick here attempt to get in and do some damage, but gets shot down by the commander straight away. Losing a metal extractor as well, 2 metal extractors. And now Sun is down to a single metal extractor, but with that con already out, it does mean he's able to rebuild relatively quickly. And Yanami has also sent out a Centurion, as we see here, making its way across the battlefield. Now, in this early stage where everyone only has grunts, this is the perfect unit to build. It's just so expensive. Now, if Yanami can make use of this Centurion early and is able to actually, get it used effectively, then he may be able to win this quite quickly. You could see Sun here actually reclaiming one of his solars in order to get metal to pay off to rebuild these metal extractors, which he desperately needs right now. But even though that's the case, both of them are only at the same amount of metal income. And so far, we actually see about 400 metal advantage to Sun right now. Now, he's aware that Yanami's comm is walking ever so closer to the base, and that has forced his commander away from the factory. But he doesn't really have anything he can do against the commander. Grunts aren't going to cope, so he's having to go commander versus commander. But Centurions, however, will kill those grunts and a commander relatively easily. So we actually see Barcast here building thugs, which can outrange Centurions. So Yanami basically has a time gate here. He needs to make use of this Centurion for as quick as possible, get as much damage dealt as possible, whilst he expands in the back line, which at the moment he isn't expanding on the back line, and you can see he's actually stalling both energy and metal. He's now trying to build some cons as he slowly expands, but it is taking a while. Barcast has now decided that he's going to degun this LOT. Didn't really need to do that. He's now at 46% health, and Yanami is yet to do anything with this Centurion. And this is Yanami's biggest problem here. He's paid a lot of money to get this Centurion out. And he hasn't actually made use of it. He could have had 2 maces for the price of this Centurion. Or he could have had like 5 pawns. So it's expensive when you think of this one Centurion is the equivalent of 5 pawns. And yet he's not really doing anything with it. And the longer the game goes on, the more this Centurion is not worth anything. And we can see that army value is now advantage Sun. And the Centurion's just being forced off. Yanami's commander being forced off. In the back line, we do see a grunt, a single grunt by Sun managing to get into the base area of Yanami. Yanami still not even having all of his starter mexes capped and killing one of the early cons that Yanami has. Yanami now with 0 expanding cons, just 2 on the base, and that is it. The first death that the Centurion is inflicted was a metal extractor, not exactly what it should be. And you can see now that Sun has decided to split his attention here. He's got enough forces easily to defend what Yanami has, and instead he's pushing with these 15 grunts. And he is about to hit Yanami's base hard. And that will pretty much destroy Yanami. He does have the ability to maybe build a Centurion maybe to stop this, but instead Yanami's sending everything forward. He doesn't have a radar in base as well, so these guys have managed to sneak past without him even noticing. He does try and attack the commander here of Sun, but he's unable to chase down these thugs, so the thugs are quicker. And so he's just going to slowly lose units. And as the grunts arrive, not only do they get a Resbot, but they get the entire energy production here of Yanami, as well as take out his last metal extractor. Now Yanami with no metal, only a single con left, and no factory. It's pretty much the end for Yanami. He had a plan. He hesitated too much with the Centurion. If he was been a bit more aggressive with the Centurion, he maybe would have won. But yeah, too passive. And now he basically has all or nothing. The Centurion and the pawns will attempt to go in. He has to kill the commander here. If he doesn't kill the commander, it's game over. But just not enough units. Centurion dies, all the pawns die. And that's it. Yanami loses and Barcast wins. So you can see how Yanami had a plan. Hesitation is what killed him there. Otherwise, Barcast did well reacting to what was coming, and just those 4 fucks were enough to counter the Centurion. Okay, and on to the next match. Ended. And here we are, game 2, Rexel versus Bloier. Now, Bloier is one of the top players in the game. No joke about that. Bloier OS of 64 versus Rexel's 53, 11 OS difference between the two players. You would think that this is a no-brainer and that Bloier will win, but 1v1s are never like that. So who knows what's going to happen. And we see Bloier starting off with a 2 windmill plan here, and then it looks like he's queuing up to go to his factory. Nope, make that 3 windmills, sorry. Then his factory. And on the opposite side here, Rexel going for a 4 wind start into his factory. Now, wind is dropping quite rapidly here. And with wind down to now 5, this extra wind that Rexel is building is not really giving that much value. You can see it's only generating 5.4 and it is just dropping and dropping. So not necessarily really worth the value in the time it's taken him to get the factory started. You can see that Bloier is about 10 seconds ahead in the terms of factories. So that does mean Bloier will get units out first. And then as we press the shift space button here to see what they're going to build, we have to wait for the factory to finish though, of course. We can see that Bloier is planning a construction ship and then a bunch of skaters. And his opponent here, Rexel, going for construction ship, subs, construction ship, skaters. Now, skaters don't really have much damage, individually at least. They do have AA, they have sonar as well. They are obviously unable to raid in terms of, mechs is underwater. So there is, limitations of what they're going to be able to do. However, they are ridiculously cheap at 64 metal each. they are, you know, half the cost of a dolphin. So it is interesting to see both players investing them quite a lot. You normally see ARM players just go all in on dolphins. So yeah. First con out from Rexel and is already heading off to the metal extractors. Doesn't seem to be prioritizing this 200 metal rock. Rexel's con also not prioritizing the 300 metal in total here. Nor is Bloier prioritizing the 300 metal on land. That is only the equivalent of, you know, well, it's the equivalent of 2 dolphins with change. So, you know, might have been worth doing. Now, before a single combat unit is out for Rexel, 2 skaters were already out. And we can actually see this game is running a bit slow, so we're going to speed this up a little bit. There we go. Now we're back up to 1 speed. Rexel with a sub out. Now subs are an interesting choice here. He's not going to be able to get them killed by the skaters, but they're also going to be extremely difficult for them to kill the skaters, because as you can see, the torpedoes don't track. So they have to be stationary in order for them to actually be able to hit anything. And even when they do, that literally did like no damage. And at the same time, look at how many skaters are already here. So I don't know if the subs were the right call here, and this construction ship just gets absolutely piled on by Bloier's skaters here. Torpedo somehow went on to land there. And not continuing to pressure the base there, surprisingly. 2 skaters and a sub for Rexel versus a lot more units for Bloier. And all of the attempted raids that we see here from Rexel is not going down well at all, as this sub gets caught and destroyed. Yeah, there we go. And there's a second one here that's getting caught. Now, a big difference between the 2 playstyles here is Rexel has used his comm and moved his comm into the center, actually surprisingly building a new factory on the front here, whereas Bloier has kept his commander in base, slowly building up more energy, building some tidals, and building, well, supporting the factory with build power. Now, it's an interesting choice because, as you can see here, army value is a humongous difference between the 2 players, and Bloier should be all absolutely wiping the floor with him. And to be fair, right now he is. The sea is entirely under control of Bloier, and Rexel has nothing he can do about it. But saying that, a destroyer is out. A single destroyer will deal with the subs fairly well. And if we press shift space, he's only building destroyers. He is losing his main base. I'm surprised we're not seeing this being reclaimed. However, I guess, I mean, this is funny. This construction ship rather is able to keep this thing alive for so long. He's having to change target and actually kill the construction ship because he can't out damage the construction ship. These destroyers doing some work. 3 destroyers now. Bloier just continuing to build more dolphins. Oh, that defense went down instantly. And here Bloier goes, all or nothing. Second destroyer down, 1 left. But just as 1 was left, the second one or a new one rather, comes off the production line, and that's pretty much the entirety of Bloier's navy up in smoke. He does still have army advantage right now, but that's all in the subs up there, and subs do not work very well versus the destroyers here. Bloier's just taking damage after damage from the long range. You just see how quickly these dolphins get shredded, and they can't get into range. The destroyer's also taken out the subs. That's it. Bloier has nothing he can do. He'd need to build his own destroyers, but by the time he gets it done, it's just going to be too late. He could maybe try and get assault frigates built up, but again, not going to happen quick enough. The subs will come in here in an attempt to do something, but they will just all get killed. Rexel's commander in a very good position here to heal up these high health pool units, keep them up and running, and with that, Bloier calls GG.
Battle ended.
You can see Rexel had a plan there. He had his idea of what he was going to do, and it paid off. It did look a bit dicey, but you know what? His plan worked out. On to the last one. And here we are, last match. C3BO versus the Zeus. Now the Zeus is a huge OS disparity here of 19 OS difference. But just because you're at an OS disadvantage doesn't mean anything, really, as all that matters is whose commander gets killed. So C3 starting off here with 3 mexes into solars and winds and even a factory. You can see he's actually not got the factory planned to be assisted here. He is going solar first. And as the wind can drop to, 2, that's not a bad idea. It gives him some power to kind of cycle things through. And as we look over to his opponent here, we can see Zeus has done pretty much the same. He's not queued up quite so deep into his build queue. He's only gone up to the factory, and that's pretty much it. Both players Cortex, both players going bots, so it's going to be down to who has the better plan here, who has the better strategy, unit control, micro. So let's see. And as we look at what each person is planning to build, so C3 does get his factory out first, and he's planning to go con, grunts, times 2, 2 cons, grunts, Resbot, and then another grunt. Now, the Resbot is interesting due to the fact that I don't really see a need for a Resbot. I mean, he can get the Reclaim, obviously, but the Reclaim on this map, the trees here, or cactuses, there's a bit of energy in them. 1,000's not that much, not that bad, but also not that much. I feel like you'd be better off with another combat unit or another constructor to just build up more economy. It does seem like C3 is planning to keep his commander in base. That's kind of why he's just surrounding himself with energy production. And you can see here with energy just crashing massively here, he's struggling for E. Zeus, however, is still struggling for E himself, but didn't build an additional solar here and is just relying purely on more and more wind. And let's look at Zeus's build queue. So con 7 grunts, then con, then 25, then con. So a lot less constructors here, a lot more combat units, and I accidentally pushed a different button there. But with both players playing bots, areas like this high ground here pretty much become redundant and basically the same as just having flat ground. For all intents and purposes. I mean, if you put thugs up there, it's a slightly different story. But, realistically, if this was vehicles, then vehicles can't pass there and it turns into chokes of that and that. But because that's not the case, it doesn't really matter too much. It's just flat terrain in essence. Now, we can see Zeus already has quite a bit more combat units here. And as C3 loses yet another one, that army value is just getting a little bit more spread out. Now, C3 does have 2 cons here expanding, which will mean his expansion will grow quite quickly. He's already ahead on metal produced and metal production in general by a single metal extractor. But slight mistake here is C3 just walks in his grunts in a 1-by-1 line. And that's a 3-to-1 loss there is quite bad. And then also over here, he does trade favorably. Actually does trade pretty favorably here, but then loses out over here. There was only a single grunt though, so it's not the end of the world. But we are seeing an interesting turn here. You can see Zeus has pushed more into unit production. He's got 8 grunts there. Make that 9 plus 4 more at the top. And C3 only has these 3 defensive grunts here. Now, he doesn't know that that's coming when we look player view. He's now only just saw that there's a huge amount of grunts making their way to him, and he has barely anything left. And he has some units down here, but again, kind of out of position. And C3's factory has been idle now for a little while. Probably because he's trying to build up this LLT, but because he's not building combat units, look at the army value difference. 100 and 200% difference. And not only that, but losing a con and the Resbot here. And only now does C3 start putting his factory back on, and he's already just called the GG there. Now, was that a loss? No, I don't think it was. He was already 500 metal up on his opponent, and all of those Rex were just outside the base. But C3 did have nothing left, and this army of Zeus here, with the 8 units that are left, could have quite easily made their way around or made their way up the top and just caused more problems. And when we look over here, look how many units Zeus already had. Now, obviously, this is a little bit inflated, but we're talking like 20 extra units the Zeus already had ready to go. So yeah, Zeus played very well here, and that just shows that, you know, C3 was greedy and Zeus exploited that and got the win. So I hope you enjoyed these small games rather than the big ones. Let me know what you think. If you like this, I'll try and do it a little bit more often, but don't feel too bad if basically this is what your 1v1 experience works out, because even the high-end players get the exact same thing. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit that like, comment, subscribe for all the YouTube stuff, and I'll see you all next time.